evening. Today is Monday, January the 19th, 2026. And on behalf of the Kentucky Genealogical Society, thank you for joining us for our 2026-2027 Meet the Board webinar. Hi, I'm Kathy Keyser from Lexington, Kentucky, one of the co-presidents of the Society. We are looking forward to sharing the next hour with you. We will be having a question and answer session towards the end of the meeting. And to ask a question, if you look up on your bar in the right-hand corner, you'll see what looks like a speech bubble with a question mark. If you select that, a box will drop down. You can type in your question. You can do that at any time during tonight's meeting. Elizabeth Allen Pennybanker, who is our vice president, will collect those, and at the end, she will moderate a Q&A. I will now turn over our meeting to our co-president, Melissa Barker.
Thank you, Kathy. So glad to see everybody here tonight. I'm going to lead the introductions for everyone, and so I would just ask that everyone introduce themselves, tell me a little bit about yourself, your connections for your genealogy, and try to keep it as brief as possible since we have so many to get through, and we are going to try to keep it to an hour. So I'll start with myself. I'm Melissa Barker. I'm a professional genealogist. In the genealogy world, I'm known as the archive lady. I've been doing professional genealogy for 21 years and my own genealogy for 35 years. For the past 15 years, I am the archivist from at the Houston County Tennessee Archives and Museum in Erin, Tennessee. And I'm a lecturer, writer, blogger. I do a blog and do anything genealogy and archives. So I'm going to pass it on to Carol Brooks, who is next to me on my screen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carol Brooks, and I'm excited to be a part of the Kentucky Genealogical Society. I live in New Braunfels, Texas, and my love for genealogy began in childhood for a very personal reason. I was adopted. Searching for my roots helped me answer the questions we all ask each other. Who am I and where am I from? What began as a personal search quickly became a long-time passion for me. My research has led me to Kentucky, where I discovered my Buckles and Pierce family line in Hardin County, and then I have a Lindley family line from Christian County. So learning their stories showed me, just how deeply family, place, and history are connected. And so I've been doing genealogy research for more than 30 years. I've joined several lineage societies, including the Daughters of the American Revolution. I've traced relatives. My third great grandfather was the first shoe and boot maker in San Antonio, Texas. And then I have a second great grandfather who served as one of the original Texas Rangers. So these experiences really remind me that genealogy isn't just about finding and confirming names and relationships. It's about preserving those legacies that define us and help our future generations understand our past. So I encourage you to participate in Kentucky Spirits to help build the legacy of your family. It's an opportunity that I think everybody should take advantage of. And so thank you for welcoming me. And I look forward to learning from all of you and sharing this journey together.
Thank you, Carol. Glad to meet you. Glad to have you on board. Also, next I'm going to go to Greg Heil, who is next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Greg Heil. I live in Northern California. My Kentucky roots go back to the late 18th century. My father's family, mostly in the area north of Lexington, in Scott County and Bourbon County. My mother was born in Louisville in Camp Taylor, and her family came down from Michigan and Wisconsin. I'm not sure why they ended up in Kentucky, but they did. All of them ended up going to Missouri at various points in the 19th and early 20th century, and then out to California. So I am currently one of the co-moderators of the pre-1850 Front Porch Talks group, and have been there since its inception, and have really enjoyed that time. And I really look forward to continuing to participate with the society and all the things coming in this next year or two. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And I forgot to mention my Kentucky connection. It's actually through my husband's family in Warren, Barron County, Trigg County. They came to Tennessee, so from Kentucky. Next is Kathy Kieser, our co-president. Take it away.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, I am Kathy Kieser. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. I was born in southern West Virginia in the coal fields. Most of my family is West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio, but my mother had some relatives that was in Eastern Kentucky, which was good because I spent most of my life at the Ashland area. And my earliest connection to genealogy was when I was in high school. We were doing one of those trips where you went around all day and you did ads for the yearbook and you took pictures. And there's a picture of me in our yearbook, and I am down in front of the Pogue family headstone with my finger reading the headstone because it wasn't very easy to read. Um, I am retired from corporate America, which I worked in corporate America for 45 years. And I enjoy meeting people. I've met so many cousins through the society. I've met them either at the conferences where we have been there to have a table, or even through the front porch talks, I've met some cousins. And so that's me. Back to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Kathy. Next on my screen is Teresa Booker. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Teresa Booker, originally from Detroit, Michigan. I'm a retired teacher. I live in Conyers, Georgia, which is east of Atlanta. I've been here away from the cold for 20 years now. My Kentucky connections are through my mother. Her parents her dad's side of the family was from Bourbon County. Her mother's side of the family was from Breathitt County, and quite interesting on both sides, but especially on my maternal grandmother's side of the family. And I've been interested in genealogy probably since I was a little girl, just curious about people and just always want to know about people, where they came from, why they did this, and all of that sort of thing. So I joined this group because I'd done a lot of extensive research for my dad's side of the family, found almost 3,000 names on our tree, but my mother's, I had kind of put it on the back burner. So now I'm ready to really dive into, and I thought this group would help me find some resources that I may not know about.
Thank you, Teresa. And next on my screen is Janet Cobb.
Hi, I am so happy to be with this group. I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky. My Kentucky connection is through my mother. They were in Hardin County in the 1700s. And so I'm going to figure out if Carol and I are cousins. I bet we are. Because you can't throw a rock in Hardin County without hitting one of my mother's relatives. I'm a retired accountant. And since retirement, I really have enjoyed working on genealogy and helping people do genealogy. I'm pretty active in DAR with helping people fill out their papers. And I've taught a couple of classes at the Society for Lifelong Learning in Bowling Green. And really happy to be here because I really believe in the mission that the Kentucky Genealogical Society has. About facilitating education and making resources much more available to everyone.
Thank you, Janet. And next on my screen is Sierra Earl.
Hey everybody, my name is Sierra Earl, and I am a local history and genealogy librarian at the Kenton County Public Library up in Northern Kentucky. And I am also the registrar for the Rebecca Bryan Boone chapter of the DAR. And I also work on the Northern Kentucky Heritage magazine, and I take book reviews and help with editing the layout. And as far as my Kentucky roots, I, for the longest time, when I was first doing genealogy, didn't think that I had anybody from Kentucky because I'm originally from Nebraska, and all of my family just talks about German homesteaders. It's all about farming and the land. And I started digging further into my genealogy and found out that on my dad's side, we come from Ashland, Ironton, and Huntington, lots of Boyd, Fleming County, Floyd County. And then on my mom's side, we were from some of the earliest settlers in Kentucky. We settled in Fayette County, Bourbon, Scott. So it's been fun to research those connections and learn more things about who I am and how I got all the way out west. And now we're back. So that's been kind of fun to explore. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody and helping people just learn more about genealogy. So this will be fun.
Thank you, Sarah. And next on my screen is Elizabeth.
Hi there, I'm Elizabeth Allen Pennebaker, and I think I might be the board member who's located farthest north. I'm in Burlington, Vermont, and I actually came to Kentucky genealogy really recently. I was born in the north. All my family members that I knew of were born in the north, and then I inherited a bunch of papers from my dad, who had gotten them from his dad and not looked at them for 25 years, and I opened them up. And I found out we're all from Kentucky, which was a big surprise. But I'm academically trained as a historian. I used to be a professor. Now I'm an entrepreneur. So the moment I saw sort of old documents, the historian in me was off and running. And when I got connected with the society, then I was sort of recruited to do the webinars. And that's actually been the most amazing training for this completely rookie genealogist. So I'm incredibly grateful for what the society does and really thrilled to be a part of it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And next on my screen is Lynn with her beautiful scarf.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I grew up in Kentucky, in northern Kentucky, Kenton County, where Sierra works. I guess I just recently applied for the Kentucky Spirits lineage program based on my seventh generation ancestor named Stephen Rich, who had moved in the 1790s from Pennsylvania to Kentucky. And that's been really fascinating, trying to find those old records, because I have a lot of, at least all of the ancestors I've researched so far have come to Kentucky very, very early. So finding those old records is quite a challenge. However, they all seem to have been Quakers to begin with in Pennsylvania and other places. So that's been interesting too, learning about the Quakers, especially the Quakers like during the Revolutionary War and that time period. So I'm really fascinated with learning about that as well. And I'm just happy to be here with you.
We are happy to have you, Lynn. Next on my screen is Miss Susan Court.
Thanks, Melissa. Good evening, everyone. I am Susan Court, past co-president of the society and a society member for 5 years. For the 4 of those years, I have served as the project manager for for the collaboration with Family Search International to promote the digitization of genealogically significant documents. To date, 5 county clerks have signed and agreed to the digitization of their records on site in their courthouses, and 15 county clerks have agreed to the digitization of their microfilmed records housed at the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. I also administer the Kentucky Records Digitization Program, which replaced our grant program last year. This program focuses on the types of genealogical records in which Ancestry.com or FamilySearch.org would not necessarily be interested, but which would interest those with Kentucky roots. I was born in Kenton County, where most of my domestic research has focused on 4 branches of my family: Hiles, Schlosser, Court, and Vollmer. My great-grandparents settled in Covington by 1850. They emigrated from Alsace, Germany, and England. My earliest Kentucky ancestors migrated from Virginia through the Cumberland Gap in the 1790s, settling in Mason County, Kentucky. I have researched in person, abroad in England, Alsace, and Germany. Lastly, I live in Arlington, Virginia, and I practiced energy law for over 40 years in Washington, D.C. Retired now, I spend most of my time as a genealogist, family historian, and teacher of and speaker on genealogy. I have written 14 family histories for my own and my friends' families and published 23 genealogy-related articles. I am a member of several historical and genealogical societies and 4 lineage organizations. Genealogy is my avocation, not my profession, and it gives me joy every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next on my screen is Patty Gilpin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be a board member, and thank you for that. I am from Louisville, Kentucky, in Jefferson County, Kentucky, and I've lived here all my life. I work for Norton Healthcare, and I have for the past 20 years. My interest in genealogy was really spurred from my niece, who's been doing it for quite some time, and probably over 10 years. And then I just kind of took a glance at her paperwork, and I thought this seemed pretty interesting, and then I was hooked. So we have gone on many adventures together, discovering cemeteries and the like through Kentucky, and doing libraries and courthouses, and have really enjoyed it. So in doing that, I discovered that my great-grandfather came from Germany and settled in Pennsylvania, then Ohio, and then to Kentucky and Southern Indiana. So I'm researching that line quite a bit. And then my mother is from Pike County and the coal fields of Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. So that is my maternal line. And yeah, I just love everything about research, and I'm looking forward to discovering new interests and meeting new people and friends through the society. And I would say my active interest in the organization, in the genealogy society, is digitization and preservation of records. Also German lineage I'd like to know more about, since my great-grandfather came from Germany. And also spurring on interest with younger generations, kind of getting them involved. Thank you all.
Thank you, Patty. And next on my screen is Jeff Lutz.
Hi, my name is Jeff Lutz. I am a native of Nelson County, Kentucky. If you're not sure where that is, it's about 35 miles south of Louisville. Bardstown is the main town here, but I'm actually from the northern part of Nelson County near Fairfield and Cox's Creek area. My parents are both from Spencer County, so my roots are right here in the state of Kentucky. Several generations back, settled in Bullitt County, Washington County. I've got roots in Estill County over in the eastern side of the state. So long line of Kentuckians in my family from several generations back. I've been interested in genealogy since the mid 80s. When I was a teenager, my grandfather gave me a pile of papers, and I've always been interested in history and family history especially. So I've been researching my family since the mid 80s. As far as my family, I've got I'm divorced. I've got two grown children, and was a grandfather for the first time about 11 months ago. So my family all lives right here, close to me. My son lives next door, and my parents live on the other side of him, right here on the farm that I grew up on. So we're all still really close. I was a worship pastor in a Baptist church for 25 plus years until I retired from that. And now I'm working full time as a supervisor at Heaven Hill in the bottling plant in Bardstown. So been there for about 5 years, 5.5 years now. But I'm glad to be a part of the Kentucky Genealogical Society. I joined a few years ago, and then last year I served on the grant committee. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I've got a little more time now that I'm on my own and the kids are grown and out of the house. And so I want to get a little more involved, and I look forward to serving on the board this year.
Thank you, Jeff. So glad to have you. Next is Susan Perney.
Hi, I'm Susan Perney. I'm the treasurer for the society. I'm a retired CPA and lawyer, and my roots go way back in Kentucky. I was born and raised in Campbell County. I live in Kenton County. I've been doing genealogy off and on since the 1990s. I don't really consider myself a genealogist, but I'm totally interested in the stories. I'm easily sidetracked. I was getting everything together to join the Kentucky Spirits when I went down a rabbit hole. And so I've never gotten my application in. But I did join the DAR in 2019. Unfortunately, the line that I've proved there is the only branch of my family who was not in Kentucky by 1830. So anyway, I enjoy doing this. I love work it does, and it's a great group.
Thank you, Susan. Next is Diane Isaacson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Diane Isaacson. I am from Massachusetts, but my interest in my Kentucky genealogy started in the second grade when we had a school project, and my mom said, well, let's just call my parents. She was born and raised in Louisville, and I have since discovered that I am a ninth generation Kentucky spirit. I have been interested in genealogy ever since, off and on. I have joined since 9 lineage societies, and I was previously on the grant committee and now launched the Kentucky Spirits lineage program, which you'll hear a little bit more about later.
Thank you, Diane. And next is Weston Stewart.
Thank you, Melissa. Hi, I'm Weston Stewart. This is my second term as board member, and I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, and all 4 of my grandparents actually are from Kentucky. My dad's parents were from Jackson County, Kentucky, with roots in Jackson County, Rockcastle, Madison, I think that's it, and Owsley. And my mom's parents were from Springfield and Washington County, Kentucky, and Cox's Creek in Nelson County, Kentucky. And so I started genealogy probably in high school when I was like in sophomore year. One of our teachers said, hey, let's talk about your family tree. And everybody else was talking about like their background. And so I was able to spark something in me. And I remember my grandma taking me to Frankfurt to the library and started doing research for the first time. And I've been hooked ever since because it's it's history, but it's personal history, and it makes more sense because as different like Civil War and other things, you can actually kind of relate to it. You're like, hey, my great 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 grandpa did this during that time, and so and matter of fact, in my social circle, I'm known as the genealogy guy because anytime someone has a kid or get married or bar mitzvah or whatever, I'm always like, my present to them is their genealogy, so that way they can always know where they came from and as well as their future because it's evolutionary. It's always changing. Right now, I live in Mount Vernon, Indiana. I'm a financial advisor, and Mount Vernon, Indiana is like kind of like a little pocket of Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky. And I'm also like the co-chair of the Front Porch Talks with the Ancestry DNA project, and also I'm the when you get the emails, I'm the email guy. So I kind of do all the emails. And last to mention, in May, I also learned that I was related to Chris Paget. So, but all right, thank you.
That's a perfect segue, Weston. So next is Chris Paget.
Well, good evening. I am a proud member of the board. So this will be my 10th year as a member of the society and 9th year as a board member. Time just flies by. I have Kentucky connections to a lot of counties. I'll just mention a few: Muhlenberg, Graves, Marion, Davies, Meade, Hardin, Jefferson, Nelson, Washington, Hancock, Ohio, Kenton, Henderson, Grayson, and Breckenridge. And I'm an 8th generation Kentuckian on both my mom and my dad's side. And I heard Cox's Creek mentioned. One of my first Kentucky ancestors who came to Corn Island settled near Cox's Creek on an area that it's actually called Kimbley's Run, and it's named after him. So that's kind of neat. I will be at the Ancestral Trails Historical Society Book Fair on February the 7th, along with our co-president, Kathy Keyser, and her husband, Lloyd Keyser, one of our members, along with Jeff Lutz, and we will be selling guides, talking genealogy. So if you're in the area of Elizabethtown on February the 7th from 10 to 3 at the Pritchard Community Center, please stop by and visit us. It's probably one of the best genealogy book sales that exist in the state. And if the weather's nice, it's a beautiful little drive to E-Town. I still do a lot of research, but mostly I'm doing storytelling now. My storytelling is through a project I've set up called the Corn Island Project at cornislandproject.org. And it's a Substack platform where I have taken all this research that I've done over decades and have now turning it into stories that people may actually be interested in. And what I like about it is you can download the app on your phone and you can actually listen to these stories while you're driving in your car or flying on a plane or whatever. It's kind of neat. I'm a member of the Sons of the American Revolution, and I'm just thrilled of this. We've got such a talented board this year for these next 2 years. People are bringing such unique talents and strengths to the table. It's such a diverse group, people from all over the place, and I'm just so thrilled to be participating, and nice to see everyone. So if you're a new member, welcome, get involved. There's lots of fun things to do, and hope you have a good experience over these next 2 years.
Thank you, Chris. And last but certainly not least, we have Brandon Kirk.
Hey, everybody. It's good to see y'all again. My name is Brandon Kirk. I am the executive director here at the Big Sandy Heritage Center Museum in Pikeville, Kentucky. My professional background is mostly for 20 plus years in teaching. I taught AP history courses to high school students for probably 10 or 12 years, and then I was a history professor for 12 years. And aside from that, I've done 3 years of work in archival endeavors at a university library. I've written for a small town paper. I've written books and magazines, which took me to Nashville for a couple of years. But mostly I've been here in this part of Central Appalachia. My ancestry's been here for 200 or so plus years in the West Virginia, Kentucky state line area. I was born and raised in West Virginia, but I have lots of ancestors all up and down the Big Sandy watershed. Most of my genealogical interest began in 1987. I still have the paper to I can put an actual date on it, because at that time we had a history teacher who for an assignment had us bring in folks who had been through the Depression, World War II, which meant they tended to be the elderly folks that you knew growing up as a young person, and their stories captivated me about their lives and their memories of the community. And it was the first time I realized that history, which I already loved, was not always in a book. And so I would sit in the front row, handwrite the notes, and then go home and type them on a typewriter. So I still have all those. And I remember that as my first interest in local people, who they were, how they connected, and all that good stuff. And so from there, it went to talking to mostly older people in my family, to cemetery hunts with my grandparents and other family members, and eventually into courthouse research, newspaper microfilm, traveling to archives, researching at university, and in all of my degree areas, it sort of fit there as well. It fit in, it helped my teaching. It made me a better teacher to teach my home schools, know the people and know the culture. Very, very useful. It also assisted me in my graduate work because by then my interest had developed in real special areas beyond just pure genealogy, but things like old time music and Southern violence, basically feuds of Central Appalachia, some of the old historic crimes. And it just all became this interconnected, fun, amazing journey, which has taken me all over West Virginia and Kentucky. My research, geographically, my research areas probably of expertise that I'm very familiar with is anything in Eastern Kentucky, west to Moorhead, and from there I leap to the KDLA and most of West Virginia, south of the Kanawha River, and down in Virginia in Blacksburg area too, all down in that part of Southwest Virginia. So I'm really glad to be on this board, and I don't know exactly what you all have in mind for me, but I'm here to help however I can. Love oral histories. I love cemetery mapping, cemetery restoration, and I love the super nerdy days in the courthouse where you disappear and you somehow spend the day, weeks, months, years, half your life or more, reading old books and papers, and it never gets old. So however I can help this society, I'm very, very happy to do it. I thank y'all for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you, Brandon. And I think I got everyone. If there was not someone I got, please let me know. And if not, I'll turn it back over to Kathy.
We have one board member who's not with us tonight. Bill Oates.
Yes.
Melissa, did you want to share his bio that I sent to you?
Oh, you did? Okay. I'll have to go look for it.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me see if I can find it.
Why don't you look for it?
And I'll do it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let me just move on to the next thing, and then while I'll look for it on the next one. We'll get Bill in on here.
Good.
But I want to talk just a few minutes about our webinars for 2026. We're excited about them. They can be found on our website if you want to register for any of them. Under what we do, upcoming events. Almost all of our webinars are recorded and available after the live showing for members, and that is also under what we do, and it's in the Learning Library. And to get to those, you need to sign on as a member, log on first. and then go in and go under what we do, Learning Library, and you should be able to go right to the webinar you want to watch. We have over 150 webinars over there on every subject of research material or different areas of Kentucky. Um, it's just endless what subjects we cover. This year, we have speakers that are writers, professional genealogists, family historians, librarians, curators, archivists. The subjects on our webinar cover different Kentucky geographical areas such as Lexington, Jefferson County, Northern Kentucky, Mount Gilead, and even the Wilderness Trail, which ran through Kentucky. There are subjects on German heritage, African American resources, and even one on our own Daniel Boone. There are instructional webinars that lineage societies, family photographs, on bounty land, and military pensions. So as you can see, there are many subjects, even some special subjects such as the cholera epidemic and slavery laws. And we have one special webinar that we've already scheduled. It's a 7-part series on becoming a genealogist and family historian, and it'll be available beginning September 1 for members and non-members. And you'll hear more about that as it gets closer. And we even may have more possible special events to come throughout the year. As I said, make sure you watch for Weston's emails, and or you can go over on the website. I don't have them all up yet, but they are going up a little bit at each time, so you can check back if you don't see the one on the subject or the individual you want to see, that it's already there. So then I'd like us to look back a little bit on 2025 and the lineage program we introduced. It's titled Kentucky Spirits. And I've asked Diane Isaacson, the coordinator of that project, if she could just share a little bit about the project.
Sure, thanks, Kathy. We launched the project a few months ago, and it was established to perpetuate the memory and spirit of those who first inhabited the land that we know now as Kentucky. And we want to make this a fun and exciting program, and we hope that we can build upon it for more ways for our members to engage. You do have to be a member, and in order to reach the application and guidelines, you just log in and click over to the lineage program, and you should be able to download all of the forms. We have reached our 10th applicant, but I'm sure hoping we get a lot more. And then once we do, let's start exploring different ways that we can engage one another in how we're connected to our Kentucky spirits.
Thank you, Diane. Melissa, let me go back to you. She's going to tell us a little bit about America 250.
Yes, I'm sure many of you have seen all of the advertising for America's 250, which we are celebrating in 2026, the 250th birthday of America. And I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's extremely important that even if you have Patriot ancestors or not, that you double down on your genealogy research, especially the storytelling, gathering those stories. I been doing genealogy for 35 years, and I've collected the dates and the names and the places, but the last 10 to 15 years, it's the stories that have really charged me to keep going with my genealogy. There are so many of our ancestors that are just a name on a piece of paper, and when you add the stories, no matter how small the story, no matter what the piece of information, it really brings them to life. And so, you know, maybe this year is a good year to really, really, if you're like me and you're so busy, you don't get to do your own research as much. But also, think about America and its founding and all the things that took place for this country to come into being. And if you are fortunate enough to have ancestors that were living during that time. I encourage you to check for records of any kind for them. I am a proud DAR member. My chapter is the old Reynoldsburg chapter in Tennessee. My ancestor, my patriot ancestor, is Job Curtis through my grandmother's line, the Curtis line. He was an elderly man for the time, so he did not actually fight boots on the ground. I have a documentation that he provided wheat to George Washington's army. And believe it or not, he actually did the same thing in the Indian Wars before the Revolution. So, and I have documentation for that. So there are records online, but everyone knows I think that I'm an archivist. And so I encourage you to know that not everything's online. And so you really need to go to these courthouses, archives, libraries, museums, wherever the records are located. And so, again, tell the stories. I think I've always been a believer that everyone who's walked on the face of this earth has a story to tell. And the last thing I will encourage you to do, as I always encourage genealogists to do, is to write your story. As genealogists, I find that many of us forget to write our own story. And once we're gone, I don't think you want your children or your grandchildren to write it, because I don't think you're good at get it completely right. So write your own story. You know, it doesn't have to be a book, but just sit down and start writing your story, because your story is just as important as anyone else's. Thank you. And I have Bill's bio if you want me to read it.
Please do.
Okay. I'm going to read what he sent. He said, "Greetings to my fellow Kentuckians and lovers of Kentucky. I'm a proud 8th generation Kentuckian. In Harrodsburg, a plaque embedded in stone memorialized the first mothers of the West to enter the wilderness: Mrs. Daniel Boone, Mrs. Richard Hogan, Mrs. Hugh McGarry, Mrs. Thomas Denton. Yep, my 5 times great-grandmother, Mrs. Bunton McGarry, was among the first 4 white women, meaning non-Indian, in the land of our Commonwealth. Hugh had a rich and spirited history in early Kentucky that will have to wait. Hugh's sons founded 2 towns. Hugh Jr. founded Evansville, Indiana in 1812, crossing the Ohio River from Henderson, Kentucky. In 1807, Daniel co-founded Madisonville, Kentucky, donating farmland to create a county seat for the new county of Hopkins. To keep our family history alive, my wife and I named our own son Daniel McGarry Oates. His toddler daughter is Madison McGarry Oates. Daniel and I are members of the Sons of the American Revolution. My current research concerns proving our lineage to 5 or 6 more Revolutionary War patriots. My key reason for joining lineage societies is to preserve my history in case my descendants have no interest in it. I'm also working on my paternal Oates line, which appears to have all male links to Revolutionary War patriot Jethro Oates. In 1773, Jethro received a North Carolina land grant from King George III. About 1801, his son Jesse killed a man in a duel. To escape threats from the man's family, Jesse left the area, ending up in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, next to Hopkins County, where I grew up. My Oates line has remained in Kentucky since that time. Just a bit about me. I am a former engineer, science writer, software developer, Army officer, professor, and newspaper editor. I live in Florida in the winter and spring. In summer and fall, I'm in southern Indiana, close enough to my Kentucky sources to do genealogy and enjoy the Commonwealth."
Thank you, Melissa. And we miss Bill not being here, but I'm sure we will see him next time. Looking forward to 2026, Chris Pageant, the coordinator of the Kentucky Genealogy Trail, would like to share with you a little bit about the program.
I wanted to share the Genealogy Trail. This is a project that's been quietly taking shape and will become very visible this summer. At its core, the trail is about helping people move with confidence through Kentucky family histories, especially those who are new to genealogy or new to researching Kentucky ancestors. It's launching as part of the America 250 commemoration with funding from America 250 Kentucky and the Kentucky Historical Society. And it's designed to answer a question we hear over and over and over again: where do I start when I'm researching a Kentucky county for the first time? You know, to do that, we built the trail around 3 clear categories. Trailheads are your starting points. Places like county clerk's office, libraries, or central archives where the foundational records live. These locations help new researchers get oriented quickly and understand what records exist before frustration sets in. From there, the trail leads to waypoints. These are the places that add depth: historical and genealogical societies, cemeteries, church collections, museums, and local archives. Waypoints are often where beginners have their first real breakthrough, when context and local knowledge begins to make sense of names and dates. And then there are the summits. These are the regional and statewide repositories, places like major archives and university special collections, where research naturally deepens over time. Summits hold materials that connect counties to one another and help researchers see how individual families fit into a larger Kentucky story. You don't start at a summit, but the trail helps you know when you're ready to climb. What makes this project especially meaningful is how it's being built. More than 50 member volunteers have already been involved, doing the essential work of canvassing and collecting data across all 120 Kentucky counties. They've identified institutions, access points that new researchers often don't know exist. This is not a top-down project. It's a member-driven effort designed to make Kentucky research feel possible, not overwhelming. Taken together, these trailheads, waypoints, and summits will form a clear research roadmap across the Commonwealth. The Kentucky Genealogy Trail isn't meant to replace online research. It's meant to guide people into it wisely and then get them into the places where Kentucky history is being held. And in August 2026, this becomes a shared resource for our entire membership, the general public, and a welcoming on-ramp for the next generation of Kentucky family historians. I'm just so excited about it.
Thank you, Chris. I think we can all share that we're excited about it. Wonderful project for 2026. Well, with that, Elizabeth, do we have any questions or that need to be addressed?
We have a couple, and then I want to invite people to also put any additional questions that you might have in the chat. So I'll just kind of start with the ones that I'm seeing here. So first of all, just like it would be great to have a reminder of where we can see the calendar of events for webinars. Like, if there is a place where they're all in one spot that people can kind of see what the schedule is, because I've been seeing them come in piecemeal into my email, and they are marvelous. But it would be really fun if people could go and just get a real sense of how amazing the lineup is in one place. Is there a place where that is, like a
It is
URL?
located under what we do, upcoming events, and with at the top is the most the next one, like the presentation that'll be this Thursday is at the top, and then it goes on down through the year. So as we fill it in, even if we put one in tomorrow that like goes, the 1st of February, it will go in its right position. So that is where it is located, under what we do, upcoming events.
Awesome. Okay. And then also, Melissa, when you were talking about telling people stories, do you remember the title exactly of your wonderful storytelling webinar? Because I want to point people to that, because that was great about telling your ancestors' stories. That really sort of encapsulates all the wonderful knowledge that you have about that. Do you remember the name
I
of
can
it?
think
When
of
it
is
was?
no, I don't. And the only one I can think of that I did was about family gatherings and trying to get your family members to talk and tell stories and things like that.
Elizabeth, they should be able to go to, there's a place to search webinars. It's on the main search board. She could put Barker in there, and it would bring anything up that Melissa has probably published or a webinar, and they can find it there.
Perfect. And I encourage everybody to take a look, because it's really wonderful. And then, Chris, how are people going to be finding out about the Kentucky genealogy trail? Like, are we going to post that on a website? Are we going to leave leaflets around? Like, how are people going to learn about this so that they can jump in onto the trail when we have it ready?
It'll be everywhere. It's going to be, you'll see it on social media. It'll be on the website. There'll be brochures. It'll be all over the place.
So unmissable.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of questions that have come in as we've been talking. So first of all, just a general logistical question of how many board members we are now, and then who the officers are, just as a quick summary.
There are 18 of us. There is Melissa and I are the co-presidents. Elizabeth is our vice president. Susan Perney is our treasurer, and Jeff Lutz is our secretary. The remainder are directors at large.
Okay. And then a follow-up question related to that is, has the new board defined what their roles will be for the next 2 years and who's going to be organizing the monthly webinars?
We are in the process of finding our gifts for the different ministries. We've only met once. This is the second time we've all met together. So it may take us a few months to get everybody plugged in. And what was the organizing of the webinars? Melissa
Yes,
and
who's
I will
organizing them?
be, the webinars are pretty well set for 2026. Susan Court did those, and there may be a few more that we fill in with that we're talking about. And then as to next year, then that will be probably Melissa and myself and a few other on the board will do that.
Okay.
And thank you, Susan, for putting those together for this year.
Yes, thank you very much, Susan.
Okay, yes, so I'd actually follow up on the webinars. If there is questioners saying that I think there was a printable calendar of webinars last year, and asking if that's going to happen for 2026 as well.
Can I answer that? Yes. So new for this year, every member will be receiving in the mail in their homes a brochure that lists every single webinar that's taking place in 2026. So make sure your address is correct on the website, so you'll get one of those in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. We have a question that is specifically for Susan now. Are divorce records being considered for digitization?
The divorce records in Kentucky are primarily circuit court records, and we are in discussions with Family Search about the digitization of those records. That's all I can say at the present time. We're in discussions.
Okay, and then we have just a couple of questions really that are they're specific, but the overarching theme of them is people who are looking for help with a specific genealogical problem or looking to hire a genealogy expert in one particular area. And so we have a directory of that sort of thing somewhere where people can go and figure out where to get help with a particular issue that they're encountering. Can you all hear me, or have I lost you?
Yes.
Yeah,
we
go ahead.
have on the website, and I'm looking to see where it is. We do have several of our members that do offer for a fee research in Kentucky. I can't seem to put my finger on it at the moment. But it is there on the website. Oh, here it is. It's under what we do. There's professional members.
Yes.
Where you can go to and get assistance if you have research that you need help with.
And do we have a listing of local genealogical societies in Kentucky? Oh, on our website, or
we don't have a list, but I would encourage people to go to an online database called Cindy's List, and she is a real person, and she has been doing this for over 20 years. She collects links to societies, genealogical societies, historical societies. She has them arranged by location, and she has a fantastic list of Kentucky.
And I might add to that, Melissa, that if you're dealing with a particular county, that you might call the public library of that county, because they're going to know what they have in that county and can help you with that as well.
And could I say something? In terms of looking for help, I just wanted to put a little plug in for the front porch talks that are basically chat rooms, because those are really good resource for people who just want to consult with others who might be having the same questions or the same problems with their research.
That's a great suggestion, right? To remind people of that, because that is definitely a big part of what we do, right? We host a lot of opportunities for members to meet each other. So I love that the questions are sort of some about what the society is up to, and then some of what we're actually really doing, what our mission is, which is helping people with specific genealogical things that they're encountering and helping people get their research move forward. So that's all that I have in the chat for questions. Thank you all who posted questions. We really appreciate that. It's great to have a chance to communicate so directly with everybody.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I'd like to remind everybody that our next webinar is this Thursday, January the 22nd at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, when Terry Foodie will be with us. Her presentation is on the 1833 cholera epidemic in Lexington, Kentucky. And I hope that you will go over and register through what we do for this webinar. Also, I want to remind you to follow us on Facebook. There you can see Chris takes care of that, and he shares a lot of local county information and museums. When they post, he shares that, and you can find all kinds of good tidbits there. Also follow us on Blue Sky. And I'll ask, does anybody else have anything they would like to add before we close tonight? Well, thank you all for attending tonight and listening to us and hearing about all the wonderful things we're hoping to do this year and what great opportunities we have. And for that, we will say goodnight.
Bye, everybody.
Night.